y'all. Today's show is sponsored by Generation Edge, the student's four-step guide to college and career success with Dr. Jen Price. And I'm excited to have her here on Talk to Me. Welcome, everybody, to Face It Friday. I'm your host, Brenda Warren, the Solutionist. I help turn your mess or your mission into a message for the masses. And today on Face It Friday, we're talking about weight loss, but I'm excited to have my friend, Dr. Jen Price, and I'm going to show this to you again, the author of Generation Edge, the student four-step guide to college and career success. Why is she talking about weight loss? Because it's Face It Friday. And on Face It Friday, we face those things that no matter whether you're an author of an amazing book helping college students find the edge, or you're just an everyday woman, entrepreneur, author, or just somebody trying to get that last bit of pounds off, we're going to have that conversation today. Because face it, I've been struggling with my weight for a while. And I've been asking my friends to come on the show and help me help you tap into your weight loss. So Dr. Jen has agreed to talk to me today about how I can do 10 steps to weight loss. We're going to go over them because she too has had struggles over the years herself at times. And I thought it'd be good to have some girl talk around this subject. So Dr. Jen, thank you for joining me today to help me face it, that weight loss is something that I need to work on. How you doing today, Dr. Jen?
I'm doing great, Brenda. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity to join you.
Thank you. Now, before we get into weight loss, because you are such an amazing person that helps college students get that edge, I want to talk about that for a few minutes, if you don't mind, and then we're going to go into the weight loss, because I think it's important that we do discuss what it is that you do on an everyday, and then we can talk about the weight loss. Because here's the thing, why I think it ties into that, because the way you give students the edge to get into college is the same way we can later on talk about how those stressors in college sometimes have students put on weight. And these 10 steps will also help them, once they get that edge, keep that edge and not put on extra pounds, that college 15. So yes. Give us a little bit about what it is you do, and then we're going to go into our weight loss talk.
Sure, Brenda. Well, I have the privilege of working with teenagers, young adults, and their families, and helping them go through the college admissions process in a way that helps them all stay sane, and also helps streamline the process, and also helps them win a lot of money for scholarships and lessen the cost of their education. So I work with them one-on-one as a college counselor. I have an online course that replicates that process. And then I also have my book, Generation Edge, the student's four-step guide to college and career success. So a number of ways to help families make that dream of college become a reality.
Now, when they make that, Dr. Jen, is it something that you work with them, with the parents, or do you work with the student?
Well, I primarily work directly with the student. And for those of you out there that are parents, you understand sometimes they need to hear from someone else, and someone else holding their feet to the fire can make a difference. And then it also helps minimize some of the stress in terms of what's happening in your family. And so hearing it from that outside third party actually helps. So there are times when I bring in the parent, for example, when I'm presenting some recommendations for careers after their student does career assessment, because the parent can provide important information about the student's background and provide insight into what they truly enjoy, what they do well, and also when I present the college list.
Okay. And Dr. Jen, I thank you for that. And anybody interested in getting the edge for your students on college, please reach out to Dr. Jen on drjenprice.com. And Dr. Jen, I thank you for sharing that information with us before we start our talk about weight loss. Face it, I have been all over Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, you name it, Hootube, whatever dudes, and Twitter saying, look, y'all, I need to get rid of these last 30 pounds. And I know that for me, it's been a journey that sometimes I didn't want to take. And so I thought we'd talk a little bit about your thoughts on that. Being a professional woman and having the busy schedule that you have, how have you been able to tackle your wellness, and maybe if you have any weight loss things that have been going on, how have you tackled that for yourself personally?
Well, I will say that I'm always constantly in the process of trying to become my best self. And so as I look at this health journey, I want to live a long time, and I also want a high quality of life. And so there's some things that I do very deliberately to try to, be healthier, to be my best self, to live a long time, and to fit those dresses just right.
I know that feeling. And one of the things that I started doing was, and tell me, we're going to talk about 10 things, and I want you to chime in here as you feel a need. Right? I'm going to start with the first one. The first thing I've noticed for myself is that, okay, y'all, I'm putting my business in the street. So those of you that's listening, no judgment. Okay, we're going to say this right now. No judgment. This is a judgment-free zone, but we want to keep it real. Dr. Jen, I was drinking my calories. I could not believe. Now, I don't want anybody coming for me because I say it. So I'll just say there is a certain tea that I love, a sweet tea. And I looked on it one day, Dr. Jen, realized that it was 45 carbs in one glass and over 26 grams of sugar.
Oh, wow.
Well, one glass, that's like 8 ounces. But the problem was I was drinking in one sitting over 20 something ounces each time. And I was drinking maybe 8 of those a day. So you can imagine with the calories, the carbs, and the sugar, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm not losing weight. I realized I was drinking a lot of my calories through the sugary drinks. So I then had to switch to water, and I started drinking Perrier and Evian. But have you found yourself having that conversation about what you're drinking, coffee, tea, sugar, or anything like that?
Absolutely. And I'm not a big soda drinker. I don't drink tea. I minimize the caffeine in my diet. But one of the things that I do love to drink is lemonade. And so one of the things that I did recently was I like Simply Lemonade brand because I prefer like fresh squeezed type lemon juice, lemonades. And so one of the things I did was I switched to the one with less sugar in it. It has a little bit of sugar and Splenda. So that was a way to kind of cut my calories down. And something else I also realized is I love smoothies. And I make most of them on my own, but I put protein in it as well, like a vegan protein. I try to have clean smoothies, and I use like frozen fruit as opposed to fruit juice. But one of the things that I also do is when I would go to like a chain smoothie place, those had more sugar in them, a lot more sugar than what I would make at home. And so I caught myself at one point starting to put on some pounds from meaning well and trying to do well, having a smoothie, but it just had a lot of sugar because they use like fruit juices as opposed to the fiber that's in actual fruit when you can make it at home.
Dr. Jen, the other thing about drinking was I had to realize that sometimes that I thought I was hungry when I was really just thirsty. So that was the other thing too, that when it came to what I drank and making the switch from a lot of the sugary drinks to water, I had to take that into account. So I want to leave that as tip number 2. Ask yourself, are you thirsty or are you hungry? That's been a big thing for me to make the shift on making sure when I'm drinking calories, is it worth the drink? And maybe I should just drink some water. So that was tip number 2. Number 3 was about measurements. Dr. Jen, I've been working out pretty regular, but I found that my scale, the devil incarnated itself, was just not my friend. Because as much as I wanted to believe that my weight was changing, it wasn't. I was working out pretty regular, but my scale was going up, not down. But what I did notice is that my measurements was changing, that all of a sudden I saw the curves coming back. So I was losing inches, even though I wasn't losing weight. So I thought that was good. Have you had that experience, or are you a slave to your scale, or do you measure, or both?
Well, I do weigh myself every day. I don't know that that's advised. I think other people might say do it once a week. I just like to know what's going on with my body, even if there's some fluctuations, to have some awareness so that if maybe I'll make a correlation between, I had higher sodium yesterday, so I might be retaining more fluids today, or man, I've really been hitting it heavy with the weights. And so that extra little bit of weight could be from, the muscle, growing and or toning up. And so I just like to be in the know because I think if that helps me be accountable. And that's kind of why I do that on such a regular basis.
Now I'm gonna stop right here and give a disclaimer for those of you that may have eating disorders or any kind of scale phobias, etc. This is just basically me giving my opinions and my thoughts about ways. I'm not a doctor. Dr. Jen is not a nutritionist or anything like that. But what we're talking about here is our personal experiences with weight loss. So please take anything we say with a grain of salt and don't use it as professional or medical advice. And I'm going to also make the note that doctors have saying weighing yourself daily can cause potential problems. So be mindful of what works for you. As for me, I don't weigh myself daily because I found out that it was getting me anxiety. So I went through the once a week model of weighing myself every Saturday, and then I would throw a hissy fit. So now I have learned to do the combination of the scale and my measurements to see how my body is adjusting. Because as I work out, I have seen adjustments in measurements when I didn't see adjustments on the scale. Yeah, I don't like my scale. I got issues with my scale.
I'm glad you brought that up because, for some people, it can create anxiety. I don't feel anxiety behind it. It's just another data point for me.
Mm-hmm.
It provides
And
me
that's
insight,
good
I feel
because
like, with
for
what's
me,
happening with my nutrition.
yeah, me and my scale have a love-hate relationship. I love it when it's lower, but when it goes up or stays the same, I want to like commit a murder. So yeah, I got some issues there.
Yeah.
So okay, number 4 is, are you really hungry? That's one of the things I really had to have a conversation with self because I'm one of those people that I eat when I'm bored. I was just like, I didn't realize that, but now I ask myself before I put something in my mouth, am I hungry or am I bored? How about you, Dr. Jen? Do you do anything with that one?
I do like to snack. I love me some snacks. And so I try to just have some positive, healthier alternatives. Like if I want something crunchy, maybe I'll, cut up an apple and dip it in some peanut butter, versus getting some chips.
Mhm.
But so I feel like, I don't know that I eat when I'm bored. I'm not sure. Maybe
Okay.
I do, and I'm not
I'm
aware of it.
also, I
I do
think
try to
I'm
have
also,
positive snacks. Huh?
yeah, I also think I'm an emotional eater. So I had to
Oh, yeah.
really, really make sure that when I get upset, that I don't reach for food. So I started reaching to walk or to write as opposed to grabbing a snack. So I'm really working that part out there. Here's number 5, Dr. Jen. We're going to talk about eating slowly. See, if I sit in front of my computer when I'm eating, I will wolf down a whole sandwich, a bag of potato chips, and a couple of packs of gum or whatever very quickly, as opposed to when I sit with intention at my dining room table without my phone, without my iPad, and actually pay attention to what I'm eating. How about you?
Well, I think that's a great idea, and I should do more of that. I'm actually a fast eater.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess if I were at the table having a conversation, that would slow me down. But I usually I just eat fast. And I think maybe eating slower, I've read that it's supposed to be a better thing. You can be more
Mm-hmm.
mindful of when you're full. I look at my portion size. I'm mindful of my portion size from the get go because I'm going to wolf it down.
Okay. Now we're going to take a quite little. Here's, I want y'all to note this right quick. Look at this. I want to talk about the daddy-daughter dynamic. The Power 13 has written a book called The Daddy-Daughter Dynamic. These dynamic 13 ladies experience challenges of their daddy-daughter relationships, and they each share their personal journey of healing. Its soon to be released or anthology is filled with true life stories to help you navigate the daddy daughter dynamic. They've even created a Facebook page to help you have a safe place to talk about what's going on with your daddy daughter dynamic. And I'm a part of that group. So please keep a watchful eye for the daddy daughter dynamic book because it will be coming out soon. Dr. Jen, that's something that I've been very happy to have been a part of. And that's also part of my weight loss journey because eating my emotions that I was dealing with in reference to my daddy daughter issues was something I've been doing most of my life. But I'm learning to move past that. We're going to talk about tip number 6 in a weight loss journey: continue eating your favorite foods. One of the things I noted, Dr. Jen, was that I was not consistent in my weight loss journey when I tried them really strict or crazy diets. See, I like food. I want me some fried chicken, some pizza, some macaroni and cheese. Matter of fact, there's some macaroni and cheese and a steak waiting for me right now. the difference is I'm not eating the whole pan. I'm using portion control, and I'm continuing to eat the food. I love sushi. I love food generally. So, what is your thoughts about continuing to eat your favorite foods even when you're on a weight loss journey?
I totally agree with you because I feel like if you position yourself, and I like to eat too. Oh, I
Mhm.
like to eat. And I'm a little bit of a foodie. And sometimes people might say I'm a food snob because I like organic, I eat gluten free, and I want fresh cracked pepper and sea salt that's freshly out of
Mm,
the ground up on my food. And so, absolutely, I'm with you on that. If you just, I feel like whenever I've been like really strict with myself about, oh, I can't have a dessert or a sweet, then I can go crazy with it. I can get out of
yeah.
hand. And so what I try to do is one, I try to get the healthier version of it. So,
Mhm.
one of the things I love to eat is pizza. And so I do eat gluten-free pizza because that helps. But also, I think we talked about this before,
Mhm.
pizza on a cauliflower crust is
Yes.
another way to still eat what you enjoy. And so, but I do actually will purposely say, okay, well, maybe once a week I'll have cheesecake or ice cream. But it's not, I can't have dessert every day, even though I would like to have dessert every day because I like sweets. I can't have sweets
Mhm.
every day.
And see, and one of the things we talked about, the cauliflower crust, I like that because it was a way for me to continue to eat what I love, but find a healthier version of it. So I am learning to find healthier alternatives to my favorite foods. But if it tastes bad, I'm not doing it. So I think one of the biggest tips for me about my weight loss journey was to learn to face the fact, and I'm facing it, that I'm a foodie and I like good food. And if it's not good, I'm not putting cardboard and I'm not eating rabbit food all day. It's not happening for me. So let's go to tip number 7, which is play around with the number of meals. I started doing intermittent fasting. And so that allowed me to, I went 3 meals a day intermittent fasting by using an 8-hour eating window and 16 hours of fasting, no snacks. And part of my journey, I did 2 meals a day, and then that was 18 hours of fasting. And then I went to 1 meal a day, which was a 4-hour eating window with 20 hours of fasting. And I kind of alternate between them on my weight loss journey. That was one of the things I did. What is your and I have a friend that eats 6 meals a day. Now she eats 6 meals a day, but she has rock hard abs, muscles everywhere. She also lifts weights, and I'm like, I love you. I ain't doing all that. So, what are your thoughts about the number of meals that you eat a day in weight loss? Have you had something that's been a sweet spot for you?
Well, I've tried a number of different things just because I'm really interested in health and fitness as well. And so I have tried the intermittent fasting, and parts of it, I like the concept of it, and part of it works for me. But if I
Mhm.
get too hungry, then I think that, and I think this is also in literature too. If you find that you get too hungry and end up binge eating, and you just want
Mhm.
to have everything you can't have during that window of time that you're allowed to eat, then
Mhm.
maybe it's not for you. And so what I've found is for me that works is to not eat late at night. And
Mhm.
so as much as possible, I try not to eat after 6. I mean, sometimes I do have to eat at 7, at the latest 8. I found that that's been helpful. And also, I would say the times that I've had the most success in fitting my clothes the way I want to fit them, I usually end up eating more meals throughout the day. It helps sustain the energy. I never get to a point of being hungry. And so when I was eating about 6 meals a day, I feel like that really worked well. But it does require planning and preparation
Mhm.
ahead of time. So okay, when my snack comes up, I have some yogurt and some granola and some fruit with it. Oh, the next time I eat, this is what I'm having for lunch. And so it helps me to know what I'm going to eat, but it does take planning and preparation.
Yes, it does. Now we're going to go to tip number 8, which we touched on a little bit earlier, but tip number 8 is just to deal with your stress without food. Dr. Jen, I wish I would say I was perfect on this, but I'm not, because just recently I had 2 of my beloved guinea pigs pass. And the first thing I did was reach for ice cream and chocolate chip cookies because I was depressed and I just wanted to eat those emotions. I'm happy to say I did not binge for weeks like it would have in the past. I was able to recognize that I was trying to deal with my emotions by eating. And I immediately called a friend and said, and oh, who was that friend? Dr. Jen. and say, hey, I'm struggling. And that was able to allow me to put down the food and just deal with my emotions and not eat my emotions away. So have you found yourself ever eating your emotions, or are you one that can avoid that easily?
First of all, I like to eat, and I do enjoy sweets. And so, sometimes, like if there's a time of sadness or heartbreak, I do reach for chocolate. And part of that I think is because it can promote endorphins, that happy feeling. And so, actually, I had a store that I would go to all the time to get my chocolate, and I went in there recently. It was like a retail store. And they're like, well, we haven't seen you in a while. Where have you been? And I felt kind of embarrassed because apparently I had been in there on the regular for too long. And it's been a long stretch. And I feel proud of myself for that. But,
Yeah.
some of the things that you can do instead to increase those endorphins is go for a walk. And so I try to integrate that into my life daily if possible, whether it's at the park or on my treadmill. I try to do alternative things and not just hold the feelings or try to suppress them, but feel the feels. And it's uncomfortable sometimes, but that's, I think, is healthier than, grabbing some chocolate or having a couple of chocolate bars.
Absolutely. Tip number 9 is stay active. You can exercise, it will reduce your appetite and, boost your insulin sensitivity from what I've studied. And so when I began to do my 10,000 steps a day and very light weightlifting, I found that I did reduce my appetite some. How has exercise played a part in your weight loss journey, Dr. Jen?
I feel like when I exercise, it just helps me to crave healthier things because my body's wanting to be refueled with things that will help it to continue to perform. And so I actually feel like I have less cravings for sweets. And the sweets that I do want instead would be, those whole fruits that I might put in a smoothie or eat them solo. I just generally want healthier things instead of like a beef burger. And I'm from Texas, so we like our beef here, and I love my brisket and my hamburgers, my beef hamburgers. But I remember like last week, it was like instead of going for that beef hamburger, I chose a turkey burger instead on a gluten-free bun. I felt very proud of myself for that. But I feel like the exercise on the regular kind of helps.
Okay. And my final tip number 10, you guys, is try not to be perfect. For a long time, Dr. Jim, when it came to weight loss, I was thinking I had to be perfect. Every meal had to be clean. I had to exercise every day. I had to make sure I got 8, 10 hours of sleep. But then when I let go of all that, it really helped me get clearer on what I wanted to do for my weight loss. How about you? Do you feel like you have to be perfect, or have you given yourself some grace?
Oh, I give myself grace, and the note about you said about sleep. I also have found that when I do well with my sleep and I'm consistent in getting enough rest, that also helps me have fewer cravings for sugar and fatty foods. And so I think that the sleep can actually help me make right choices. But yes, I am kind. I am gentle with myself. There are times that, like yesterday, I wanted some peach cobbler. So I went to a soul food restaurant and got some peach cobbler. And, but that means the next day I still definitely want to work out or, make some adjustments in, my eating the next day and not just totally go crazy and let it loose.
You know what? So today on this Face It Friday episode of Tap It Into Weight Loss, we gave you 10 different tips that you can use to tap into your weight loss. And I'm going to go over them really quickly, and then I'm going to tell you the tapping procedure so you can use these 10 tips. All right, you ready, Dr. Jen? Number 1, don't drink your calories. It's simple. Get you some water and keep yourself hydrated. That's going to help you. Assume you're thirsty and not necessarily hungry. It's tip number 2. Really check in with yourself. Do I really need something to eat, or am I just thirsty? Take your measurements. Throw that devilish scale in the trash. Okay, well, you don't have to throw your scale in the trash, but just because I have issues with the scales, I'm not trying to give you issues with yours. But remember, sometimes your measurements are more accurate than the numbers on that demonic scale that sits on the floor. Okay, yeah, I got issues. Work with me. Okay, number 4, are you really hungry? Again, another check-in with yourself. Are you hungry, or you just eating because you're bored? Number 5, eat slowly. Don't sit in front of your television, your computer, your iPad, or your phone, or any other electronic device. Get your designated place, maybe your table, or just take your time. Enjoy your meal. Food's good. Number 6, continue eating your favorite foods. Don't restrict yourself so bad that you end up on a binge because that's not going to do you no good. Number 7, play around with your number of meals. Maybe you'll skip breakfast and only eat 2 meals, or maybe you'll eat 6 or 10, whatever works for you. Remember, getting yourself on the right track for weight loss is not a one size fit all. So you need to do what works for you and your schedule. Number 8, deal with your stress without food. Stop the emotional eating. Call a friend. Call Dr. Jen. She'd be there. Or just step away from the table, take a nice walk, say a prayer, and keep it moving, but don't use food to deal with your stress. Number 9, stay active. Get a consistent exercise program that's going to work for you. And when I say stay active, I just mean move. Turn on some good music and get your dance on. Walk around your neighborhood, walk in your driveway. That's what I did and lost 65 pounds. I used to walk around my SUV in circles. People were laughing, but they stopped laughing when I lost the weight. So just keep moving, and any kind of movement will help. You can, in your bed, you can move your arms. Check out YouTube and find all kind of videos, walking in place videos, walking around the yard. You get the idea. Just keep it moving. And number 10, don't try to be perfect. It's a journey, y'all. It's not a marathon. Take your time and figure out a plan that works for you. And above all, take these 10 tips and I want you to tap in. And how do you tap into weight loss? Number 1, you transform your mindset about what it takes to lose weight. What is it you need to do differently? Change the way you see a thing and you can change a thing. The second step in the tap in process is to announce that you're going to lose weight. How much do you want to lose? Be specific. Me personally, I want to lose another 30 pounds. I want to lose another 30 pounds in the next 6 months. I'm going to take my time, y'all, and I want to be consistent about it by doing daily exercise. And I want to write that plan out so that I'm sure that I have it. And to do that, I also want to get some accountability. So I have friends like Dr. Jen and my friend Lisa, my friend Dr. Denise Sincere, and Mandeep Kaur are going to be making sure that I do what I said I'm going to do. The next step in the tap-in process is to prepare. So I started laying my clothes out at night. I bought a treadmill. I rearranged my house so that I have a gym in my house. I put the treadmill where I can get to it easily. It's no longer just a clothes hanger. Shh, don't tell nobody. But I had to prepare, you guys. And then the next step in the tap-in, using those 10 steps, I had to imagine what my life would look like if I actually didn't use food to manage my stress, if I actually ate healthily, if I actually stayed healthy and stayed active, what would that look like for me? So I imagined myself fit, fierce, and fabulous. And I kept that right in my face because that's what I was aiming for. And then you nurture all those thoughts so that you can tap into your best life now. So make sure when you say you're ready to tap into your weight loss, that you be specific, use those 10 tips, and face it. If you do that, and make sure you have a plan that works for you, that you too can lose the weight. Dr. Jen, what's your thoughts on that?
Oh, that is so great and so practical. And I'm on that journey with you, Brenda. We can do this together.
I want to thank y'all for listening to us today, because today was just, as I said, today's Face It Friday. And every Friday, I ask someone that is I consider a friend to come on and face something with me that maybe not be their normal thing. Like I said in the beginning, Dr. Jen is all about helping college students get that, high school students get that edge for college, correct? They should correct from wrong,
Yes,
Dr. Jen.
yes, that's correct.
And that's what she does normally. But today, she helped me face it. That weight loss is something that I can achieve when I put my mind to it. And I want to thank you, Dr. Jen, for stepping outside of what you normally come to talk about and helping me face it. that I can succeed at my weight loss journey. Do you have any last thoughts you'd like to say about weight loss or about what it is you do on a regular so we can share that with the audience?
Sure. Let me just remind you about my book,
Thank you.
Generation Edge, the Student's Four-Step Guide to College and Career Success. If you have a teenager or young adult in your life that's trying to think about what comes next in their life, I invite you to pick up a copy for them and pick up copies for other youth that you might know, maybe at your church or those in a youth group or in a sports organization, because they need that help, and every little bit will help. I also want to just say, continue to be kind with yourself, because, you know, as we are trying to make changes, it is uncomfortable. Growth is uncomfortable in general. And as we are, you know, trying to be our best self, you know, there are times we may fall off the wagon or make a poor choice, but that doesn't mean we're a failure. We just get back up again and keep moving.
Thank you, Dr. Jen. And I'd like to remind everyone, if you would like to get a copy of my book, Soul Search, and get on board for transformation using the TAPIN method, please go to BrendaTheSolutionist.com. That's Brenda, the Soul, SOULUTIONIST.com, and get your copy today. It's available on Amazon. I would like to thank you, Dr. Jen, for coming on this show and helping me face it as we tap into weight loss. That is a journey that many people are taking, especially as the summer months are coming up. And I would, again, just like to thank you for being a friend, for being a confidant, and someone I can come to when I'm trying to face it on any subject. You guys, don't forget, I always tell you, the choices you make today will be the reality you live tomorrow. Choose wisely. Thank you, Dr. Jen, for joining me today.
Thank you, friend. Thank you, Brenda.